Adopt, don't shop. Have you heard that phrase? I've heard it for years. People really take it to heart. I do not really love that phrase. I think it ignores a lot of the nuances that we need to think about when we get a new pet. My name's Danelle, and on this channel I aim to help people live better with their dogs. I hope to make dogs' lives better, to reduce the number of dogs that are given up due to behavior problems, and to train smart. I've been training dogs for about 40 years. I've earned obedience titles with the AKC, with the UKC. I've owned and fostered a huge variety of breeds over the years. I ran a dog training business for about 20 years, and I also have been a search and rescue handler for about 30 years. Today I want to talk about the adopt, don't shop idea. That phrase has been taken up by people who work at shelters, the rescue organizations, and it does have a very well-meaning message behind it, because there are so many dogs out there that have been abandoned, who need homes desperately. And one thing I don't like about it is that it attempts to make people feel guilty for purchasing dogs. All three of my border collies were purchased from a breeder. I love that I knew what kind of temperament I was getting before I purchased them. I also have adopted dogs from shelters. My first two search and rescue dogs were both mixed breeds. They were like Labrador mixes that I adopted from our local shelter here and from a shelter down in Washington State. So I appreciate both ways of getting dogs. There's many ways we can get dogs. Some of us just get them from a family member or from an advertisement on an internet site. But you can find a good dog anywhere. You can find a bad dog anywhere. And I've had mixed success with buying from breeders. I've bought puppies, I've bought adult dogs, I've rescued adult dogs, I've rescued puppies, and I've fostered everything in between. What is the nuance I'm hoping people understand behind the catchphrase, adopt, don't shop? It can be a wonderful feeling to adopt a dog from the shelter. You know you're saving it, possibly even saving its life. That is such a gratifying feeling. But there are a lot of difficulties with going to a shelter and trying to choose a dog, especially for an inexperienced or new dog owner. You don't have the knowledge to assess whether that is going to be the right dog for you. In most shelters, the dog is very stressed out. It's not displaying its natural behavior, so it's hard to know what that dog is going to be like once it's in your home. Sometimes we don't know the dog's history. The shelter personnel don't know the dog's history, so it can be pretty tough to know exactly what you're getting. If you buy a puppy, that's also actually fairly true, because a puppy is just going to act like a puppy. We don't really know what it's going to be like when it grows up. So there are risks everywhere, but I do not think people should be made to feel guilty for purchasing a puppy or an adult dog either, because sometimes that is the best way for especially an inexperienced dog owner to get a dog that hasn't had a tough past. Many dogs at the shelters haven't been abused or treated badly. They just simply weren't trained at all or taught to be respectful of humans, and they can be a real handful while you retrain them. The solution to too many dogs in the shelter, I think, isn't that people should be made to feel like they must adopt dogs to clean up the mess that other people have made by abandoning the dogs in the first place. I don't feel like that's my job. I think that a much more appropriate way to approach that is to get education out there so that fewer dogs are abandoned in the first place. Obviously, both can't happen 100%. No matter how much education is out there, people will possibly lose their home and have to move, and they can't find an alternative to bringing their dog to the shelter. Sometimes people just made a poor decision with getting a dog. They weren't prepared, or the dog was a terrible match for them, and the shelter is the safest and best solution. So we're not going to completely eliminate people giving their dogs up to shelters or rescue organizations for sure. But educating, that's part of the reason that I started this channel. I want to help people so that they don't feel like they have to give up their dog when it behaves badly or when it is overwhelming the family with its behaviors. On the other hand, I don't think people should be made to feel guilty if they don't want to adopt someone else's dog or go to the shelter and not really know what they're getting when they adopt a dog. Often shelter personnel are also not educated enough to advise people who go there to adopt a dog. The shelter people often are just desperate for those dogs to get adopted because of course they're working there because they care about the dogs and they really, really want them to have homes. So they might not even want to tell you that this dog had a past of chewing holes through walls or nipping children, things like that. So I don't think you should feel guilty for not adopting and purchasing a dog instead, if that's what you want, especially if you really want a very specific breed. There are a lot of purebreds in shelters, but they're mostly the more common purebreds, such as German Shepherds and Heelers and Labradors, breeds like that. A lot of shelters don't really have a good area for you to even interact with the dog, to see how it reacts to your children, to see how its temperament interacts with you, to see if you're a good match. In our small town, our shelter has just small concrete runs with chain link and a very, very small turnout area where you can play with the dog or hang out with the dog. So it can be very hard to assess if that's the appropriate dog for you. Some shelters do not have employees that really know dog behavior that can help you and assist you. If you live in a larger area with a more modern shelter, it'll have a large turnout area. It will have more experienced personnel that can assist you. And you really should get help from somebody who's experienced when you go to a shelter to adopt a dog. You can ask a trainer to possibly come with you to see the dog's body language, to assess its temperament, and that is a really good idea before you bring a shelter dog home. Another danger of going to a shelter to adopt a dog is if you feel sorry for the dogs. Feeling sorry for the dog that's hiding in the corner and looks so sad can lead you to adopting a dog that has some troubles, that has anxiety, and that can be very difficult to handle later on. So if you do go to a shelter, you really need to avoid adopting out of pity. That is a terrible place to start with the dog. When you adopt a dog, you have to make sure that you are in a headspace that's not pity and that you think you're going to make it happy through just offering love and treats and great food and sleeping on a soft bed. You need to be equipped and prepared to be a strong leader, to set up boundaries, to set up rules, to enforce those rules, to properly walk it so that you are the leader, to properly feed it so that you are safe when you're feeding it, that the dog isn't aggressive about its food or its toys. It needs to know that you're a leader, and that can help a dog, especially a dog with a lot of anxiety, that can help them to feel calmer and more confident. When you are more confident, when you are more bossy with the dog, you need to be prepared to teach the dog how to just be calm, how to lie on its bed and be patient and to wait. So you need to know how you're going to establish these rules and how you're going to enforce those rules. Adopting a dog does not require just a bunch of love and cookies. A shelter dog really needs to have the sense that it's in a safe place. And for a dog, that means that they have a leader that they can trust to keep it safe and to establish boundaries. If you are set on adopting and not shopping for a dog, one of the best places to find a dog to adopt, especially if you have kids and a busy home, is to adopt a dog that's been living in a foster home. The foster home is a very natural setting, and with an experienced foster parent, they can assess the dog's temperament. They can tell you a lot about what the dog is like, what are its problem areas, what are the things it's good at, what does that dog need to thrive. If you're adopting an Australian Shepherd, that family's going to know what is the energy level, and it's going to tell you how much exercise that dog needs. An Australian Shepherd is a very active working dog, so they are not going to tell you that it's going to thrive in a place where you expect it to just lie around and be peaceful and not walk every day. The foster home is going to know a lot about that dog's personality. If you have kids, try to find a foster home where there are kids living in the home, and those people can tell you, what is the dog like with kids? Is it nervous? Is it too hyper? Is it jumping on them? Or is it frightened of them? Speaking of fostering a dog that you're interested in can be an excellent way to try out the dog, to see how you like living with it, to see if you can handle its energy level, to see if you like its personality. Can you deal with the type of fur that it has? Can you groom it safely without it getting annoyed at you? And to just kind of try the dog out. And if it's not a good fit, you don't have to feel guilty when you let it go, because you're a foster home and it can go to a family that's a better fit. On the other hand, if you find out that the dog is an excellent fit, then you can be a foster fail and adopt the dog. It can be an interesting way if you've always had, like me, let's say border collies. It can be an interesting way to try out a new breed. I fostered a couple of terriers over the years, and that's how I found out I was really not a good fit for terriers. I thought on paper they seemed like a great fit for me. You get a lot of energy and toughness in a smaller package, and I just found out that I didn't do well with just their kind of act first, think later sort of mentality. So that was excellent for me. When you're looking for a new dog, that's the time to start looking for a trainer. See if you can get references from people who have worked with that trainer and see what they have to say. Is the trainer balanced? Does it give a lot of rewards and fun training? But does that trainer also show you how to stop behaviors, how to correct behaviors? Does the trainer only focus on like fun and play and teaching tricks? Or does it also focus on teaching the dog to just be calm, to go lie down and be patient and to wait? Because that is equally important. We don't just want to focus on tricks and running around and playing fetch and being active. Then you end up with a dog that just can't stop. It just won't stop. And that can be very annoying. So find a trainer that really focuses on both. Ask the trainer, how do you train a dog to be calm? How do you train the dog to just do nothing and go lie down? And hopefully that trainer will have good answers for you, because honestly, I feel like it's easier to teach a dog to do things than it is to teach a dog to stop doing things, to quit problem behaviors, to wait at the door, to be patient in the car and not jump out of the car, to be polite with strangers who come to your house. So there's that balance there. So when you're interviewing a trainer or considering a trainer, try to find out that trainer's methods to teach dogs to stop doing problem things, jumping, rushing people who come into your house, stealing food, just all the things, pulling on leash. How do they get the dog to stop doing those things, rather than only teaching the dog how to do things like downstay or sit or all of the active kind of things. One thing that I look for in a trainer is, right now there is this huge trend of the pure positive. It sounds great. We all would love to train our dogs with just pure positive, no corrections. It sounds really great. That's really not the best approach. Sometimes a dog, just like a child, needs to be told that is not appropriate. You cannot lunge at that dog when we're walking. I want you to ignore that dog. So I prefer a trainer, and I recommend a trainer that is willing to give the dog a correction, that is willing to tell that dog through the leash, through your body language, what is appropriate, what is not appropriate, and give a correction for the things that are not appropriate. When I'm looking for a trainer, I want a balance. I want to be able to tell my dog that they're doing something that I don't approve of and I will not accept. So when you're looking for a trainer, try to find someone who's balanced. There are some great things about adopting a dog from a shelter. One, they are cheaper than buying a purebred dog, especially a puppy. A puppy, you're going to have to take it to the vet to finish its series of vaccinations. That's expensive. You're going to have to get it spayed or neutered. That's also expensive. So a puppy, it's not just the purchase price, but it's also all the vet work that you need to have done in that first year. A puppy also is just a lot of work. No matter how good a puppy is, it's a puppy. You're going to have to house train it. You might be up during the night taking it out to go potty. And it's just a biting, silly, ridiculous little creature. They're so cute, but they're so much work. They're going to go through the biting phase and the teething phase. They're going to destroy things. You have to crate train them. You're just starting with this wild little creature that you're carving out. And if you're a beginning dog, if you're a first-time dog owner, having a puppy is really eye-opening on how much work it is. If you are adopting an adult dog from the shelter, often they'll already be spayed or neutered. They'll often already be housebroken. So you also have a dog that you can just right away take out for hikes and do all kinds of adventures with. If you adopt or buy a puppy, you are going to have to wait till it grows up to take it for hikes or big adventures because they're little and their little bones haven't fully formed yet. So you're not only going to have more work and more hassle, you're going to have to wait to do a lot of the things that you might have bought the puppy to do, especially if you're buying a larger puppy. If you buy a little tiny dog, they grow up faster, they mature faster, and likely you weren't planning to take that for really big hikes. And if you were, our Chihuahua is able to go on all kinds of really big hikes. A Chihuahua or a Pomeranian is so small that even as a puppy, you can let it walk for the first mile, and then it's small enough you could just put it in a pack and carry it. So it's a little bit different if you're buying or adopting a small puppy. And of course, if you adopt a dog, even though I said please don't feel sorry for a dog and adopt it out of that mindset, but there is such gratification in adopting a dog from the shelter. My 2 search and rescue dogs that I adopted from the shelter, it was great to just see them blossom. My second search and rescue dog that I adopted from the shelter had already been through at least 2 homes. He had been nervous, he had been destructive. The description on his card said that he had been chewing holes through walls and through floors. So it felt really great to give him a very active home and a job where he could let out his frustration and his energy. So that was really gratifying. So there really is a great side to adopting, and I really liked it, and I would do it again. My mom just adopted a puppy from the shelter, and that puppy's been easy to train, totally sweet, fits in with her really well. It was a great shelter where the personnel helped her to choose, and she did a great job, and they are doing great. So adopting, shopping, both can work really well. I just don't want anybody to get a dog because they feel guilty because they hear this adopt, don't shop mantra. And if you adopt or buy a dog, puppy, any age, the first thing you need to work on for their own safety is come when called. And you can start building that foundation even in a baby 8-week-old puppy. If you want to learn how to build a really strong foundation for a come when called so that your dog can have ultimate freedom and enjoy off-leash walks all of its life, watch this video here. Train smart, have fun.